Okay, so what I want to show you guys really quick before we go in and start talking about the low-lying terrain, I wanted to show you taking that the technique that we showed you, displacing the terrain, showing you the different uses for it. This is applying just primarily a world machine map, and there's been a little bit of max alteration on this guy too. But when you guys go through and you're doing using this stuff, you can actually see that the initial displaced plane is actually fairly low poly. And the reason why that is because this technique of using the surface, we're doing planar projections, right? So the more surface deviations that there are, not the, you're gonna have more changes, right? So you can kind of get some weird results. So you really want predictable results. So having smooth areas on the base mesh is going to help for the high res one. But an additional benefit of doing this is being able to go in and alter the shader values pretty quickly. So you can see here, same asset, just a little bit of shader manipulation there. So pretty useful and pretty powerful, and you can do a lot with it really fast. So I recommend definitely utilizing this method because you can get a lot done and do a lot of really awesome things with it. So let's go into Max. We're going to start a new scene here. And we are going to pull down, running out of space here. We're going to do a rock generator script. And we're going to go ahead and just create standard high poly rock here. Is that the high poly rock? Yeah. Let's go ahead and manipulate this guy out, get some cool shapes. So again, we'll take this guy into ZBrush, and we're going to kind of show you guys how to create a low-lying kind of terrain, which should be pretty fun. Again, you know, like most of the stuff, you guys probably shouldn't be surprised. I'm only going to make one of these guys, and obviously I'm not spending a ton of time. I'm actually just using a script to generate it. That script, again, is found on ScriptSpot, so it's there if you guys need it. We're going to export this guy, OBJ, and we're going to call this rock. Let's open up our good friend ZBrush here. Close down Photoshop. Now I'll save all that. Sure. I don't even know what I did. Oh, I just blew out my reflection passes. Oh well. It's all for fun anyway. So ZBrush we go. I'm going to reiterate some of the stuff that we previously talked about when we're doing the tiling terrain, or the tiling maps. So this is a good refresher here for you guys. If you already know this, well, you should probably watch it because you paid for it. So, you know, hopefully you learned something. If you don't, I'm sorry. We'll resize this canvas. We're going to zoom right back on out. Okay. Let's import that asset. Little rock that we made. Yay, there's our rock. Looking all rock-like. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come back into ZBrush here. We're going to switch our tool up. I'm going to grab just standard plane. Control-N to clear the canvas. Drop that down. Hit Edit, and then hit F to frame it. T is going to turn it back on, turn it back off in terms of it being an actual tool that you can use. We're going to tell this thing to make it a poly 3D mesh because by default it's not. Now we're going to turn off SMT, divide, 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 divide. And so for what I'm going to show you guys, this might require a little bit of touch-up work in Photoshop, but I'm not particularly worried about it. So when we're tiling this stuff, this is a fractal. This will tile on forever, right? This does not mean that this is going to be tiling within 0 to 1 space. Okay? And there's a big difference on this. So when you guys are going through and doing this, don't be surprised if this doesn't tile 100% the way you think you might need it to. One of the things that I'll do if that happens, depending on what I'm doing, might go into Photoshop, or I might just use an asset to cover the seam, or an overlay or something, or primarily Photoshop retouch work. tends to be the solve all for that. Alright, we'll hit OK. And we'll apply that to the mesh. Okay, and I use the UVs. Again, you guys saw me use the UVs to calculate that. Now, just hit T. And let's start panning this, okay? So you can see these seams. There's a couple brushes in here. Well, not a couple. There's one that sometimes works. It doesn't have the best record. And this is this cloner brush. I tried many a time to use this to get it. You can see what it's doing. It kind of works. I mean, for this, we might be able to get away with it just because we're not. There we go. Yeah, it's, you know, it's not great. That's for damn sure. We're actually making it infinitely worse than just the damn seams themselves. Come back forward. Okay. Gee. Alright. Bring that plane back out. Now, what you can do, if you're deciding to go down this path and you're like, oh, I really want to use this, you can create yourself a little border, and it's easier to do this border when the plane is much lower res. So what we'll do here, if you can see it, we're going to come back into that poly frame here, and I'm literally going to mask out these outer. Hopefully I'm just grabbing the 1 pixel box. We'll see. Or 1 poly box. It looks like it's pretty uniform. Nope. There we go. And Control W. Or did I make this into make poly mesh? No, okay. Sorry, it wasn't a poly mesh. Oop. Control W. Why are you not making that into a poly group? Sharpen mask. Okay. Maybe my keyboard's not working. I've been having issues with my keyboard, so let's see here. Poly groups. Where are you? Poly groups. There you are. Group masked. Visibility. I wonder if it's just not like enough for it to see it. That shouldn't be the case though. Visibility. Where is it? Is it under display? No, it should be under mesh. Modify. Visibility, hide part. Yeah, it's just not big enough. That's why it's not doing it. So let's go with 2. Let's go with 2 and see if we can get this to work. There we go. That's, oh, ZBrush. I love you. Alright, and then we'll divide this guy up, okay? What we're basically going to do is, this is going to be our bleed border. I'm going to use this to kind of, hopefully, give me something so I can tile across. So I'm going to divide this guy. And I'm just going to actually do the operation, that surface operation on this guy. Okay, so again, nothing too crazy. I'm just running in and playing with the noise here. We can get all crazy and creative. Sure, that's cool looking. Just the scale a little bit. Okay. And we'll apply to mesh. Okay. Now, obviously, that's not going to do anything to this outer border. Okay. And typically, one of the things that I'll do for this, you don't have to do this, but it will make your life, I think, a little easier, is if we take this and we're just going to pull this back a little bit. This border, if it's a little bit down, I find that when I start to go in and take this off and I drag this over, and then I start to use this clone brush, I get a little better result. So let's give it a alpha here, see if this helps. Oops. There we go. this brush is really weird. It's basically doing it off the Z height, okay? So, come on. So you can see if it's a little too high, it won't quite do. Like if one section is just a little higher, it won't quite do what I want. So you be careful with this. This isn't like something that I would really make full, like I'm going to do this all the time now. Thanks, Dave. This will work sometimes. Sometimes it won't work. And it can be a huge pain in the ass if you when it doesn't work, which I've had this not work more than once. Okay, and again, we are dealing with Z depth here, so you got to be careful about, you know, how far up you go and that kind of thing. Okay, that looks like it's good enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. Alright, now I'm going to grab my rock, and I'm just going to start dragging this guy out. Now again, like I said in the previous lecture, we can go into our edit mode, and we can move this guy around. We can actually do physical scaling on it as well. And then, once we go back into the 2.5D, if I hit W, I'm going to get the gizmo back, I can move this thing around. Now, you see here, I actually didn't grab an axis. I grabbed in the middle here, and it's paying attention to kind of the underlying geometry. This is kind of cool, but it's not that great, so tread with caution. You see here, like that kind of thing does really suck once you get the orientation kind of the way you want it, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to move it, and then it snaps itself back up. Shift S is going to move it around again, so we'll just place this guy a couple different times here. And I'm not going to get too crazy. Obviously, this isn't necessarily about how great ZBrush is and all that. We want to take this into World Machine, and we want to do some erosion on it. We want to kind of get some, you know, play with it a little bit. In fact, this ground actually might be a little too noisy, but we'll see. We'll just scale that. Some big stones are nice, you know, as well. And again, this is really good for doing the tiling textures for you, like game artists, even for your pre-rendered guys who are interested in doing this stuff. I'm a huge fan of having a massive shader library of nothing but height maps and whatnot, you know, and it starts with an S. I forget the name of the company. They first started doing the scanning stuff. Quixel's doing it as well. The Quixel stuff looks really, really solid as well. But in terms of like the handcrafted stuff, there's a reason why it's called handcrafted. It's because it's done by hand, and you can do some really cool stuff with that too. I mean, obviously I can, you know, you get things exactly the way you want it. It is more expensive though, just like everything that's handcrafted, right? So keep that in mind as you're doing this stuff. You know, and if you're doing this, you know, might as well save it. Oh god. There we go. Draw that back out. Oh no, give me it back. Yeah, okay. You gotta be careful with ZBrush. You start hitting stuff and thinking you know it, it'll correct you. And it is not gentle. Alright, there we go. Move this here. And again, you gotta be careful. You know, repetition is easily picked up in this stuff. Especially just because we're not going, we're using one rock, right? So if you're going to do this method and you're going to use one rock or whatnot, you know, I recommend, you know, just taking your time with it, because there's nothing worse than getting, you know, somewhat far with this and then being like, oh, it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, you know, I'll just embed you because it's getting a little busy. Now I'm just going to hold the tilde key, move it over, so again we can start drawing this back out. Okay, and again, you know, you can spin this guy and move it around and do all sorts of fun little things with it. It is kind of cool, you know, the orientation of the tool, like the way it's drawn out, is stored under the it's under the display. Where is it? It's under, is it display property? Nope, it's under the draw panel. It's under geometry. Not position. Oh, it's somewhere in here. It is. It is. There's a place where it's controlled, and you can actually alter that. But the alteration and moving it around is a huge pain because it'll like everything inside of here, it kind of has its own unique way of moving, right? And rest assured, it will do that. Ah, cool. I got a little pebble by accident. That was neat. Just rotate you. Scale that. All right. Okay, so this is about decent enough. Just make sure it's gonna tile. Cool, it tiles, it looks like. Yep, close enough. And if it doesn't, I apologize. All right, alpha. Grab dock. Okay. Now we're gonna export this guy. Tile. Hey. You guys are going to love getting these maps named correctly. I'm telling you that much. It's a joke because I'm not going to name them correctly. Alright, World Machine time. You can see my little Autodesk license there. I had an awesome fiasco with that the other day. That was exciting. Thank you, Autodesk rep, who had to listen to me rant and rave for about 20 minutes. But we got it working. We got it working, so that's exciting. Alright, generator, we're going to load in that file input. Double click, load. Where did you go? Did I save that out correctly? Maybe I didn't. Thank God I didn't close ZBrush. Oh, it's a PSD. There it is. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, and we're done. No. So what we're going to do here is we are going to do a little bit of adjustment here because this thing is insane looking. Full range. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to this for a second here because, again, I'm just going to build this device really fast. This is like full on, right? Like, that doesn't do me any good. And obviously, it's kind of messed up in some ways. Like, it's got some of that negative space in there. And it wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't so displaced so heavily. So let's work on this. Let me make sure no scale data present in file. Of course. Alright, let me make sure. Coordinate scale. Let me see here if I can. Let me see if I can control the height output using a parameter. Put that in. 0.1. Thank you for not listening to me. 12. That's not doing a damn thing anyway. Huh. Alright. Let's adjust the height here then. Right where it says height. Delete you. Yeah. Oh, I changed the width. Let's just grab a new node. Generator. Alright. It's going to be the X and Y plane, so I'm not going to be able to adjust that. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just go in here. And let's pull this down. By the way, you could, if you wanted to raise the size of your mountains, you could do it in here. By the way, sorry, probably should have covered that at some point. That's okay. Actually, you know what? That's not actually going to do it because it's going to set it for the whole project. Do, 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 do. Alright, let's just see here. We'll use a combiner. You know what? I'll just use this as the height field. You know what we'll do? Let's try this. There we go. Yay. Alright. That works around the fact that there is no height data present in this. So all I did was I took the file input and I plugged it into a constant. And I'll build this up. Let's check this guy out. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Okay. So again, remember, it's a projection. Okay, so, and again, we are resolution bound here, so let's adjust for that too. So we're using the full range here. Build that out. I'm actually not really sure why, in the name of the good Lord, this thing doesn't actually export the... oh, see, here you go. See, look, this is some of the issues with the clone tool. You can see it right there. See that? That little edge spike? Where are you? I'm going to be able to see that in here. Oh, wait, there it is. See it. Right there. Found you. Ha ha. Burn in hell. Awesome. Yeah. Now I look less like a jackass. Alright, let's export this. I think there's a couple of them in there, so let's just go through and work accordingly. There we go. Refresh. Refresh. We'll build you. Okay, and did it even load? What the hell? Did I export this thing correctly? Maybe there's more. Let me just investigate. I think there is more. There it is. I'm looking for these little tiny lines. You guys probably won't even be able to see it on the video because of the compression, but this is why it's a back and forth thing, right? With the displacement maps and whatnot. Like, you're constantly coming back into here and adjusting and recalibrating. And this isn't a ZBrush thing. I mean, well, this in particular is a ZBrush thing, but the back and forth thing, that is through and through CG, right? Like, you're always going back and forth on stuff. Load. Make sure that does the... Yeah, it wasn't reloading. Okay. Alright. Good. Yay. Okay. So, again, I have all these devices in here. Let's just get rid of this stuff. Yep. Okay. The next thing that we want to do here for this is... Oh, come on. The next thing we want to do for this is we want to come in here into our natural erosion. Let's grab that guy. We'll do some experimenting again here. Okay. Here we go. And I bet you the thermal weathering is going to be useful as well. Do I want to do this quite yet? Let's come into here really quick. Where's my displays? Blur. Displays. I think that's... no, that's just the ramp. Yep. Simple displacement. Okay, I'll take that. Drive that into here. Come over into my inverter. Plug that. I'm going to just delete that. Plug that into here. Delete that. and then I'm going to take this and plug that into here. Okay, so again, the idea is that it's going to invert. What is that giving me? That, let me delete that wire, and then I'll just give that distortion amount. Okay. So I don't know if this is going to really do what I want it to do, so let me just build this up really quick. I'm just testing something really fast. Yeah, no, that isn't going to do what I want. Never mind. Never mind, we can build it up around the edges a different way, using the inverter and that kind of thing. So I'll keep the inverter around for right now. Let's just go ahead and see what this erosion is going to do right out of the box here. I'm going to put the inverse on. Tell it to be rock. We're going to really kind of pull stuff away. Let's do some channeled erosion on this. And let's just see what this looks like, shall we? That'll build. I'll pause the video while it's building. Alright, let's check this guy out. Oh, cool. So again, we got some erosion happening here. Okay. Same thing that I mentioned before here. If we don't want this to affect these rocks here as much, we can tell it to mask it out. Again, since we're using this height field, the white areas on it are going to be... Now again, this isn't... You can look at this inverter and see that it's clearly not one for one. It's just, this is just going to say, hey, do less erosion on this. I'm actually going to increase the power of it a little bit too, so we'll see that. Cool. Alright, so that's the erosion on that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. The next thing that we should probably play a little bit around with is let's get some cool details on the surface here. Okay, so alright, let's go under here. We're just going to start playing with some fun little things here, just trying to get some cool shapes and stuff. I'm not going to go really crazy overboard with this, but it'll be nice to kind of get some fun stuff, see what we can come up with. Let's run through this. Let's see if we can run back and grab our displacement here. And I'm just going to run a ramp through this really quick. Or gradient, sorry. Gradient, ramp, same general concept. Not really, but for the sake of arguments right now it is. I don't know which way that's going, so we'll find out in just a second. Let me show you what that's doing just a little bit here. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. It's building up via the ramp. Now, the displacement is going to push this guy in a direction, right? So if I zoom out, no, we'll just push it like crazy. Zoom out. Okay. And we'll build that. And then we'll look here. Right, so you can see it kind of pushing it in a direction, right? So again, it's not going to bend it, but it's just going to kind of shove it a little bit in the direction, which is kind of neat. And let's go through. Do something like that. And again, when I'm doing this stuff, I'm literally just playing. I'm not doing anything too crazy, you know. I'm just, you know, having fun with it. You know, I'm kind of experimenting a little bit, so that's good. And let's run the flow map to the distortion field here. see what kind of the fun little thing that does. I see it a little bit. See it kind of having a little bit of impact in there. Again, it's pretty cool. And all right. So let's go in really quick. I just want to mask this out a little bit. Again, we're going to use our inverter just because I don't want this thing going everywhere. Okay. Now we'll build again. We should at least see a little bit of breakup. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And let's see here. Let's run into our Vertinoy here real quick. Just adjust the scale of this guy down. Vertinoy is so sweet. You can get some really badass shapes of this thing. And some of it looks really weird, so there we go. Do I want to use that? Yeah, well, so I got that. And I'll run again, because again, I want to be really careful with this. Run my mask through it as well. Okay. And I'm going to run back here. I'm going to run that right back into the distortion field here so we can get a little bit of changes through that. Push some of the distortion. Again, it's going to push that movement. Okay. And then we'll come back into our handy dandy combiner over here. Take that. We'll take that. Obviously, we don't want it to do whatever the hell it just did. We need it to basically want it to just add a little bit on top. And we want it to pay attention to our mask. Okay? If that makes any sense at all. Just add just a little bit in and pay attention to the mask. Build that back out. Okay. And we just got, you know, a little bit of extra shapes in here, a little bit of extra volume. Okay. Just increase that width just to lower it down just a little bit. Actually, I'll do it quite a bit, but that's okay. All right. Now, we'll come further on back to where we were before. Got our little friend here. And we're going to come back, grab another combiner. Now, if you guys are running through this and you suddenly start noticing the mask is getting really harsh around the edges, just run a blur through it, okay? I'll say it again. If the edge is getting a little heavy on the mask, just run a blur through it a little bit and it should be okay. And just do, not the average, but the add. Screen. Wait a minute. So that's going on to there. That's going on to there. Run my mask through this again. Okay. Yeah, let's just run the subtraction on it. See how that looks. That might be a little too much, though. Actually pretty cool looking. Let's come back. Let's adjust the overall height. So just a little lower here. We got, and again, that's coming from, this spike here is coming from the ZBrush plane, but I can go back in and unsculpt it, but I'm sure you guys are like, just end this damn tutorial. So we're about to do that anyway. Don't you worry. Alright. So, yeah, I mean, maybe that's not too bad. So let's really quick, let's just export this guy out. And again, World Machine isn't going to export this out as a Power 2, so we're going to get a seam. Like, it's just, understand it's going to happen. My suggestion would be just to paint it out. Oh, real quick, in case you guys are like, Dave, how the hell do you texture this thing? You're going to use your selectors to do it. Okay, you're going to be using, well, primarily the height selector, just because you want to probably isolate the rocks from the stone. And obviously your flow maps, right? You guys, you know, we talked a lot about this. This is going to be, kill that fall off, right? Shabam. Okay, so this is, you know, you're going to have to obviously have to adjust this, but this is how you do it. Okay. Right? And then you can texture your stones and whatnot. But anyway, let's go through and let's spit this guy out, and we'll look at it really quick inside of Max, and then we're going to end this bad boy. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Terrain. Tile. Yay, save. Write output to disk. Of course, go ahead. Thank you. Alright. 3D Studio. Park right there. Delete you. Plane. Okay. Again, same general concept. Run turbo smooth on this guy. We'll probably do it 8 times or so. Maybe not, depending on how bad my computer wants to explode. Might have been a little much. Let's cut it down. Come on, I'm going to make it easier on you. Just let me get it through. Do 6. Okay. And then we'll do displace. Bitmap. And there it is. Okay. Now the map is going to be really subtle because we're doing super tiny height. Not a big deal though. The other thing too is let's check the tile on it. Not too bad actually. Wow, surprised. There's got to be a seam in that. Yeah, there it is. No. Wow. Okay, I expected there to be a seam in there, so fuck yeah. No seam. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, this is really useful. Again, I mean, I don't want to beat this over your guys' head just because because we already talked about it. But you know, for game artists, CG artists, spending some time in generating a bunch of these or having a library of this stuff is fantastic. You know, believe it or not, you know this. Let me just increase this a little bit. This dense of a terrain, you know, with that amount of detail, like, depending on your shot, you're going to sell so much information on it. People are really going to, I mean, it's going to really help sell your environment. For you game guys, you know, for those of you who are lucky enough to use microtessellation, you already know, or not microtessellation, but the displacement stuff, you know how powerful having true height information actually is. And for, you know, if you're going to rip your normal maps and stuff, you can use photos. They don't look great. They just don't. It's the nature of it being a photo. You know, Endu and Dedu and stuff, they tend to help out a lot with that. But in my opinion, nothing actually beats true height information. So World Machine, great way to do it for terrains. Super easy. And as long as you're paying attention to the actual overall height of the file inputs, again, running that through a constant is a big deal because ZBrush isn't going to give you anything. It's just going to give you a full range. So running that through the constant is really useful. So I'll give you guys this as an example. Again, just so you guys can use it as reference or whatever. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I have a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun teaching it. If you guys have any questions or anything, shoot me an email. The older I get, the busier I get. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not a good thing. It's cutting into the drinking and the working out, so I'm going to probably say not a great thing. But anyway, totally different topic. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll talk to you guys later. And yeah, make some cool stuff.